Hello, I'm Karma Kitaj, and I'm your host for A Livelihood, New Adventures as We Age. Today I'm going to introduce you to John Zeisel, Dr. John Zeisel, and he has created some very interesting programs for people with dementia and Alzheimer's, and we're going to hear about how he got involved with this and what he provides. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Karma.
So I spent this morning at the Coolidge Corner Theater here in Brookline,
Yes.
Massachusetts, where you do one of your events. And why don't you just talk a little bit about that and how you do it and what is the impact on the people who come?
The program is called Meet Me at the Movies and Make Memories. Mm-hmm. And the concept behind the program is there's a bunch of different pieces that I've put together. The first is people with dementia are people. They like going to the movies. They remember the movies. They are turned on, as we are, by seeing historical movies or humorous or comedies that they remember, etc. So the purpose of it all is to give people with dementia a life.
I've been made obsolete. I'm technologically challenged.
Well, so am I. That's why we have this wonderful man here to help with the technology. So tell me, what is your name?
My name is Phyllis Stock, S-T-O-C-K.
What is your last name?
Gustafson.
So you were just in the theater there.
That
you
was
were
fun.
Yeah.
Some of the movies I had seen years ago, and it brought a lot of memories back, and so I really enjoyed it.
The second element of this is that most people, again, who have Alzheimer's or dementia are kept inside. They're either kept at home because, gosh, we don't know what to do. They might get embarrassed and do something wrong, or even in an assisted living program like the ones that we run at Hearthstone Alzheimer Care, which manages these assisted living programs, or at nursing homes. Mm-hmm. And we believe that society needs to embrace people with dementia and people with Alzheimer's differently and engage them in our society. And so do the funding agencies who help us, the Brookline Community Foundation and other foundations who believe that people with dementia should get out into society, and we, in that outside society, should be able to embrace them, support them, deal with them as they are, rather than saying, oh, well, they're different from us. So Meet Me at the Movies and at the Coolidge is a way for people to come out of their homes, out of assisted living, out of nursing homes, into the real world, participate in a very active way, and then go home and come back again the next time. The segments are picked by people with dementia. So it's not like I'm saying this is what you should like. It's what you get engaged with. And we use focus groups to have people with dementia choose the clips.
So you said you were going to tell us who you are. So that,
okay.
I think, is a complicated question.
It's not quite so complicated. We have two entities. The first one, which pays the bills, is Hearthstone Alzheimer Care, and we manage assisted living programs for people with dementia. 3 in Massachusetts, 3 in New York. In Massachusetts, they're in Brockton, in Marlborough, and in Woburn. In New York, they're in New York City on the Upper West Side, in Palisades, and in White Plains. So they're all about 30 people big. So it's a community where 30 people, 30, 40 family members, 30, 40 staff all know each other. And they create a world that's positive and supportive. A lot of the arts, a lot of doing things of meaning. Hearthstone also has an institute where we teach people. And the latest thing we've started is a program called Learning for Life. It's a school for people with dementia. So it's not a day program. It's not a program where you come and we tell you what to do. It's a place where you have students, they learn things, they decide their own curriculum, based to a large degree on Montessori programming, Montessori teaching principles. Other side of who we are is a foundation. And the foundation is called the I'm Still Here Foundation. and it's a 501c3, and a major program in that, which the whole foundation actually supports what we call non-pharmacological approaches. So not how do we get more medications to solve these problems, but how can we do it without the drugs, without the medications? We, both at Hearthstone but also in this foundation, we try to develop things like that. Develop ways for people with dementia to have a meaningful, worthwhile life. And that is this Artists for Alzheimer's program. We call it ARTS, A-R-T-Z. And that's the umbrella within which we have the museum programs. Meet me at the museums, meet me at the movies, and other creative programs.
And I know from this morning's event that you have a whole cadre of volunteers who come in too. Huh?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Karma, because that's very important to us. Not because it's free labor, because it shows that people care.
I spoke to a few of them this
did you?
morning. I interviewed them for the show, so we will have a little segment
Can I
about
ask you,
them.
what kind of things did the volunteers say that was interesting to you?
One person was new, so she didn't know
Right.
much yet. But the other two were very enthusiastic about, just, as you say, giving back. And I think both of them had relatives who had Alzheimer's.
Yes.
So what has the experience been like for you when you've done it before?
It's really, it's not at all really what I expected it to be. It was much more positive, in fact, than I thought it was going to be. The reaction of the people who come to see the films, I've seen them walk in or be wheeled in sometimes, and they have expressionless faces. And when they sit down and the music is playing, there's already an immediate response on their part. And while the clips are going on, they're usually very focused on what's going on, and there are questions before and after the little clips that are shown, and there is a lot of good life and energy that you feel. So,
I'm thinking, I looked up on the internet some reviews of your book. Which you should talk about a little bit.
Okay.
But several of the reviews, of course, were written by people who had been caregivers or maybe are caregivers, and they talked about how unusual it is to read anything with such a positive attitude about it. Because clearly the stigma, the stereotype about it
Yes.
is that it's all downhill and it's a terrible disease, which of course it is. But it sounds as if your book really brought hope to people and energy and enthusiasm.
Well, first of all, thank you for saying it, and thank you for reading it.
So the name of your...
I'll tell you, the name of the book is I'm Still Here. How do we help people, caregivers, family members, I call them partners, to live with this condition in a way that it doesn't ruin their lives? And my view is grieve for the past, because or grieve for what you don't have. Grieve for the fact that you've got a loved one who's sick or who has a problem or a disability. But then say, what can that person do? That person can paint.
A person may not be able to tell me about their trip to Hawaii, but when I hand them a paper and some pastels and ask them to show me their trip to Hawaii, it suddenly becomes easier. It's almost like a key to unlock the memory that might not have been there. So it really acts as a permission, as a key, as a vehicle to unlock memories that they may not be able to access.
Well, we're going to have to stop.
That was like a snapping my fingers. This was like 2 seconds.
I know.
It goes so
when we're
quickly.
having fun, huh?
Well,
So thank you very much for coming, John, and for the experience of being able to view what you do.